Three free video editors. One is used on Marvel films, backed by a hardware company, and has kept every promise for 14 years. One is open source, managed by a non-profit, and crashes so frequently on Windows and Mac that its own community recommends against using it there. And one has over 10 million downloads, is maintained by a single developer, and crashes multiple times per editing session. DaVinci Resolve, Kdenlive, OpenShot. All three are free, but free is where the similarities end. One is a professional tool. The other two are cautionary tales about what happens when free software has no sustainable development behind it. Sounds like something worth investigating, right? I went through the editing communities, the bug trackers, and the development histories for all three. And that's when I started getting suspicious. Let's break it down. Quick context. DaVinci Resolve was originally a Hollywood color correction system. Blackmagic Design acquired it, relaunched it as software, and made it free. Editing, color grading, fusion compositing, and Fairlight audio in one application. Free version exports 4K 60 frames per second with no watermark. Studio unlocks 8K, AI tools, and advanced codecs as a one-time purchase. Kdenlive was created in 2003 as part of the KDE project. Open source, managed by the non-profit KDE EV organization. Cross-platform but designed primarily for Linux. Volunteer developed with no company backing. Around 500,000 downloads annually. OpenShot was created in 2008 by Jonathan Thomas. Open source, cross-platform, designed for simplicity with a beginner-friendly drag and drop interface. Over 10 million lifetime downloads. Development funded almost entirely by donations and Patreon. Essentially a solo developer effort. 3 free editors, different philosophies, very different results. Let's start with Resolve. Resolve's position here is straightforward. It's free, it's professional, it's stable. Hollywood color grading, node-based compositing, multi-track audio mixing, 4 separate pages of professional tools, free version exports 4K 60 frames per second, no watermark, no feature gating designed to frustrate you into paying. Blackmagic has maintained this model since 2011. No features removed from the free version, no subscription pivot, no bait and switch. Quarterly updates with genuine new capabilities. The learning curve is steeper than both Kdenlive and OpenShot. 4 pages, professional interface. Node-based compositing requires different thinking. The software assumes you want professional tools, which means more complexity up front. But the capability is genuine at every level. Free gets you professional results, the paid upgrade gets you everything, and the company behind it has hardware revenue sustaining the software development. That matters. Sustainable funding is the difference between software that improves and software that stagnates. Now, Kdenlive is the editor that Linux enthusiasts recommend to other Linux enthusiasts, and on Linux it's the best of the open source options. That's the honest assessment. The problem is everything beyond that qualifier. On Windows and Mac, Kdenlive's stability is genuinely terrible. Crashes are frequent, not occasional freezes. Regular crashes that interrupt editing sessions and corrupt project files. The community openly acknowledges this. Bug reports for Windows and Mac stability issues persist for months without resolution because the volunteer development team prioritizes the Linux build. 4K performance is where Kdenlive falls apart entirely. Preview playback stutters. The timeline becomes unresponsive. Rendering 4K footage takes dramatically longer than Resolve on identical hardware. For anyone working with modern footage, this is a fundamental limitation. The effects library is basic. Simple transitions, limited color correction, nothing approaching the node-based compositing or professional color grading available in Resolve for the same price of 0. Export failures are the most frustrating pattern. Users report renders crashing at 80 or 90% completion, hours of rendering time lost. The only defense is exporting in smaller segments and stitching them together, which is a workaround for broken software, not a feature. And here's the fundamental issue. Kdenlive is volunteer developed. No company backing, no hardware revenue funding development. The KDE non-profit manages the project but relies on donations and volunteer time. Bug fixes arrive when volunteers have spare hours. Critical stability issues persist because there's no full-time team dedicated to resolving them. This isn't a criticism of the volunteers. They're doing real work for free. But sustainable software development requires sustainable funding, and Kdenlive doesn't have it. Now OpenShot. OpenShot is the easiest video editor on the market. That's genuine. Complete beginners can produce a finished video within 15 minutes. The drag-and-drop interface is intuitive. The learning curve barely exists, but ease of use means nothing if the software crashes before you finish editing. OpenShot's stability is catastrophic. Reports of multiple crashes per editing session are universal, not edge cases, not unusual workflows. Basic editing operations cause the application to freeze and close. Project corruption is common. There is no robust auto-backup system. Users learn to save every 30 seconds or accept losing hours of work. The performance is unoptimized. Preview playback lags. Rendering is dramatically slower than both Resolve and Kdenlive on the same hardware. The timeline stutters with anything beyond basic edits. Features are severely limited. No color grading. Basic transitions only. Audio editing is primitive. There's nothing approaching professional capability. And the development situation explains everything. Jonathan Thomas maintains OpenShot essentially alone, funded by donations and Patreon. Volunteer contributions are sporadic. One person cannot maintain a cross-platform video editor at the quality level users expect. Major bugs persist for months, sometimes years. The software improves slowly because one developer can only do so much. The 10 million downloads represent people who tried OpenShot, not people who stayed. Lovely. Right, so here's where I land. DaVinci Resolve is the clear winner. Free, professional, stable, actively developed by a funded company. Hollywood color grading, node-based, compositing, multi-track audio mixing. The learning curve is steeper than both alternatives, but the ceiling is infinitely higher. Every hour invested in learning Resolve pays dividends that Kdenlive and OpenShot never can. Kdenlive is the choice for users with an ideological commitment to open source software or Linux users who want a native editor that integrates with the KDE desktop. On Linux, it's the best open source option. On Windows and Mac, the stability issues make it difficult to recommend when Resolve is available at the same price of free. OpenShot is the tool for absolute beginners who need the simplest possible experience and can tolerate frequent crashes. 15-minute learning curve, drag and drop everything, but the stability is so poor that most users migrate to something else within weeks. That something else should be DaVinci Resolve. All three editors cost nothing. Only one of them works like professional software. The other two are free in price, but expensive. In lost time, crashed projects, and failed exports. If you learned something new today, subscribe